She thought it was just another Tinder match, but when she got home, the messages stopped. Her name was Samantha Stewart, a 28-year-old nurse from Queens. On a sweltering July night in 2018, she met 31-year-old Danueal Drayton for what should have been a harmless date. By morning, she was dead and her alleged killer had vanished. She was Samantha Stewart, a caring and dedicated 29-year-old registered nurse at Long Island Jewish Hospital, living in Springfield Gardens, Queens. Loved by friends and family, she was known for her warm smile and community spirit. On that fateful July morning of 2018, her father, Kenneth, found her lifeless figure wrapped in a blanket in her bedroom. The circumstances were chilling. Trauma to her neck and head, significant dental damage, and no outward signs of forced entry. Samantha, who'd worked a night shift and missed her next scheduled one, never returned her colleagues' calls, sparking concern and confusion. She wasn't just a victim, she was a person with purpose, a caring professional, a doted-on daughter and sister. Grounding your story in her real life gives viewers someone to root for, someone to remember, and someone truly lost, and that builds emotional stakes before the mystery even unfolds. On a balmy mid-July evening in 2018, Samantha swiped right and matched with Danueal Drayton, a 31-year-old from New Haven, Connecticut. His Tinder profile painted him as confident and charming, filtered selfies, a calm promise of adventure, and a playlist taste that hinted at a fun night. They chatted casually, Samantha mentioning her busy nurse shifts. He said he appreciated that about her. Sparks flew, so much so that he ended the texts asking, "Can I come over tonight?" They met for coffee that evening and later went back to her place in Springfield Gardens, Queens. It seemed innocent, two people getting to know each other. But once in her apartment, everything unraveled. What began as friendly banter turned chilling. He asked to see her place, she agreed, and that door closed the moment she unlocked it. Samantha's friends later revealed they noticed in her final texts a slight hesitation after hours of chatting. She typed only, "Okay." It was the red flag she overlooked. The comfort of a date turned monstrous behind her front door. That match wasn't just a date, it was the beginning of nightmare. Late on the night of July 16th, 2018, Samantha Stewart ended her day after meeting a man she'd connected with on Tinder. By the next morning, her phone had gone silent. She wasn't answering texts, and she hadn't shown up for her shift at the hospital. Her family grew anxious. It was her brother who discovered the truth. Inside her bedroom in Springfield Gardens, Queens, Samantha's lifeless body was found wrapped in a blanket. There were no signs of forced entry. The room was still, too still. She had suffered blunt force trauma to her head and neck. Her teeth had been knocked out. Her killer hadn't stolen anything, he had only taken her life. In just a few hours, a date turned into a death scene. No screams, no calls for help. Just the eerie silence of a home that had gone cold. Her father would later say, "She let him in, she trusted him." That morning marked the beginning of a manhunt, because whoever had done this was already gone. In the hours after Samantha's tragic discovery on July 17th, New York City detectives swarmed her home. They combed through her apartment in Springfield Gardens, searching for anything that could break the case. They found no signs of forced entry, but they did find credit cards missing and a phone that went silent the night before. The only clue, the victim had a date that evening via Tinder. Detectives traced her Google location pings and Wi-Fi logs, linking her movements back to the date. As they dug into app conversations and texts, one name stood out: Danueal Drayton, a man with multiple online profiles who had vanished hours later. The hunt went national. Within a week, a joint NYPD and FBI fugitive task force tracked him down in Los Angeles. When they found him in a hotel, he wasn't alone. Another woman had been allegedly held captive there. He was placed under immediate arrest and faced charges not only in Samantha's death, but also for rape and attempted murder in California. Back in Queens, police searched Drayton's phone and recovered location data and messages that tightly linked him to the scene and to Samantha's final hours. Forensic teams matched his DNA to the apartment, and investigators discovered her missing credit card had been used to book his flight to LA. What started as a single-page Tinder chat exploded into a national manhunt, and it only got darker from here. After Danueal Drayton's arrest in Los Angeles, the case quickly widened. The woman he was found with had been held against her will. She told police he had strangled her, assaulted her, and refused to let her leave the hotel room. She had met him on a dating app, just like Samantha. In New York, more women began to come forward. One reported that he had raped her in Brooklyn weeks before Samantha's death. Another described how he had manipulated her with lies, using fake names and photos to earn her trust before turning violent. As detectives dug deeper, Drayton allegedly confessed to killing as many as 7 people across the country. He claimed there were other victims, some in New York, some in Connecticut, even one in the South. But officials warned that his statements couldn't be fully verified. Still, what became clear was this: Samantha hadn't been the only one, and Danueal Drayton hadn't just slipped through the cracks, he had walked right through them. With every new victim who spoke up, the truth got darker. The apps meant for connection had become a hunting ground. The breakthrough came just 6 days after Samantha's tragic death. In Los Angeles, FBI and NYPD agents cornered Danueal Drayton in a motel room. He was staying there under a false name, and he wasn't alone. Inside, they found a woman bound and beaten. She told them Drayton had strangled her and confined her for hours. As officers handcuffed him, Drayton looked calm, too calm, surrounded by the echoes of his violence. He was transported across the country and arraigned in Queens. During the extradition hearings, his silence was deafening. But detectives had the knife-edge evidence: GPS logs tying him to Samantha's building, Wi-Fi pings from her apartment, credit card transactions, and that terrified woman in LA. Forensic teams had matched his DNA to blood found near Samantha's bedroom. Phone conversations placed him in the building moments before she died. Every bit of data converged into one cold fact: he was the man behind the date-turned-nightmare. With handcuffs on his wrists, Drayton faced charges for murder, rape, kidnapping, and one victim's attempted murder in California. The arrest wasn't just justice for Samantha, it was a legal lock on a horrifying pattern. Now the courts would speak. When Danueal Drayton finally faced trial in Queens, the courtroom tension was electric. Prosecutors presented a relentless narrative: a man who hid behind charm and swipes, but left terror and trauma in his wake. They highlighted how Drayton stalked victims online, changing aliases, manipulating trust, and meticulously planning every step. Investigators uncovered WhatsApp voice memos he saved, with his own voice encouraging fear, control, even laughter at his victims' confusion. One prosecution witness, a former Tinder match, recounted shaking as she read his message: "You're exactly what I've been looking for." Within hours, her phone went dark. She fled after he tried to force himself on her. She said, "He knew exactly what to say to make you trust him, and once he had you." Another witness, the woman rescued in California, delivered chilling testimony. Drayton smiled, even joked, while tying her wrists. She said she'd believed it would be a date. In court, evidence emerged of Drayton bragging about getting away with it, claiming responsibility for 7 deaths, though prosecutors warned many accusations weren't verified. What was verified? His DNA on Samantha's clothes and carpet, GPS pings from 3 devices in her apartment, and her last texts echoing "okay." The jury heard it all, calculating predator, premeditated, cold. As the judge reminded the defendant, "You cannot swipe your way out of this." And so Nicoletta Sorry, Samantha's name echoed in court, finally got her moment in the spotlight, her name spelled correctly by those who brought her killer to justice. After the verdict in Queens, the weight of justice settled, but the impact went far beyond the courtroom. Samantha's family, shaken but resolute, launched a foundation in her name, Safe Swipes for All. Their mission? Educate and empower users of dating apps worldwide about red flags, location sharing safety, and trusting instincts even when Cupid seems sweet. Meanwhile, city and state lawmakers began drafting bills inspired by her story. New York introduced tighter background checks for in-person matching services and required better identity verification for dating apps. Companies like Tinder responded by promising more stringent profile screening and clearer check-in safety alerts for first-time dates. Across social media, Samantha's story became both a warning and a symbol. Her sister recorded a message. "She just wanted love," Jenna said softly. "He gave her death." Thousands shared it, turning grief into advocacy. App users started pledging safer meetups, coffee in public, check-in calls, even swipe safe hashtags. Samantha's life may have been cut short, but her legacy is still alive. She became more than a victim. She's now the spark behind meaningful change. In her memory, millions now pause before swiping and think twice before meeting a stranger.